Shivani Pandey. Let's begin with the top stories. Nepal's tourism stages a comeback. Tourist bookings increase, number of domestic and foreign tourists visiting Pokhara on a high. Parliament's Social Justice and Human Rights Committee directs concerned authority to arrange for the education of 317 students stranded at the Janaki Medical College. Summit of all European Union members slated for today cancelled amid conflicting talks over a third bailout deal for Greece. And world number one Novak Djokovic taking on Roger Federer in the Wimbledon final later this evening. Lawmakers affiliated to the ruling coalition have criticized the annual policies and programs unveiled by the government. The Nepali Congress and UML lawmakers said that the policies and programs had been announced in haste without sufficient groundwork. They further said that while the nation is on the verge of adopting federalism, the policies and programs have failed to incorporate specific provisions aimed at the development of the center, provinces, and village committees. Nepali Congress lawmaker Tejulal Chaudhary and UML lawmakers Parvat Gurung, Bhavani Prasad Khapung, and Churamari Jangali asserted that as parliamentarians, it was their duty to abide by the policies and programs presented by the government. Prime Minister Sushil Koirala is slated to respond to the questions regarding the policies and programs this evening. Social Justice and Human Rights Committee of the Legislature Parliament has directed the concerned authority to arrange for the education of 317 students stranded at the Janaki Medical College. A meeting of the committee today directed Education Ministry, Medical Science Studies and Nepal Medical Council to make provisions for the stranded students of Janaki Medical College. Studies at the college have been stalled for the past 10 months due to clashes among the college directors. The committee has granted a 10-day deadline, blaming the college management for the plight of the students. The meeting today has also formed a 5-member committee to study the condition of the Janaki Medical College. During the meeting, Minister for Education, Chitralekha Yadav, said that the government is serious about resolving the crisis at the college. Meanwhile, a representative of Medical Science Studies Institute pointed out the institute's inability to take action against the medical college. The ministry officials said that efforts are underway to take action against the Janaki Medical College. The Nepal Association of Foreign Employment Agencies has called an all-party meeting to resolve the issue regarding cost-free visas and airline tickets to migrant workers. The association has been on strike for the past 4 days, protesting the government's new provision. Holding a press meet in the capital this afternoon, the association demanded that the provision be implemented only after discussing it among all concerned stakeholders. The foreign employment entrepreneurs have also called for the suspension of the provision for the time being. Meanwhile, the Labour Ministry has insisted that it would not revoke the provision. Talking to Kantipur Television, State Minister for Labour, Tegh Bahadur Gurung, said the decision was taken following comprehensive discussions with the Labour ministers and entrepreneurs of 7 employer nations. He also appealed to the main manpower agencies in the country to comply with the provision. Minister Gurung added that the provision of free visa and free tickets would help increase the employment quota instead of causing a decline. The foreign employment agencies started an indefinite strike since the 26th of June, protesting the government's decision to provide cost-free visas and air tickets to migrant workers going to Gulf countries and Malaysia. Meanwhile, the youth bound for foreign employment, labor experts and other stakeholders have welcomed the government's decision aimed at alleviating the financial burden and exploitation of migrant workers. They've urged that no one should backtrack from the decision. Parliament's Foreign Employment Committee also stressed on the provision's immediate implementation. The government is yet to amend the Education Act despite repeated claims to do so over the past decade. This has led to poor management of school education. After 2004, the government has not been able to include the Education Act's amendment in its policy programs. Education experts blame the government for not being able to manage pressure from permanent, temporary, private education institutions and private schools. School area development programs have been unsuccessful because the Education Act has not been modified. Within this program, the school's infrastructure, management, student-teacher ratio, among others, have been affected. Likewise, the formation of the National Education Board to include grade 10 SLC exams at the zonal level and grade 12 exams at the school level have also not been successful. Due to the lack of an Education Act, the Higher Secondary Education Board and SLC Education Board have not been merged. Time now for a short break. For more news, stay with us.
Reliance Cement, Lucky Jewelers, New Road, Kathmandu, Jagdamba Steel,
Jasmine Paints, Liverpool International College,
Shikhar Shoe, in association with upcoming news.
Welcome back. Nepal's tourism appears to be on the upswing after taking a nose dip in the wake of the earthquake. There's been an improvement in tourist bookings, especially for trekking expeditions. The Nepal Mountaineering Association has said that the number of trekking-related inquiries from tourists have sharply increased over the past 3 weeks. The government has given recognition to 1,310 mountains. Of them, 414 are already open for climbing, and about 400 of those are of altitude less than 8,000 meters. The government has about 20,000 people climb mountains between 5,000 to 8,000 meters in altitude on a yearly basis. Pokhara, which bore a deserted look for nearly 2 months after the earthquake, is slowly limping back to normalcy. The number of domestic and foreign tourists visiting Pokhara has gradually improved. We have this report.
Foreign tourists. After the joint initiative taken by the businesses here, the number of bookings from India, USA and Europe has seen an improvement over the month.
पर्यटकहरूको संख्या अलि वृद्धि भएको थियो। सुरुमा 5% मा रहेको पछि 10% मा चाहिँ पुगेको थियो र अहिलेको स्थितिमा हेर्दाखेरि अलिअलि पर्यटकहरू पनि विदेशी पर्यटकहरू पनि आन्तरिक पर्यटकहरू पनि बढिरहेको अवस्था छ र यो 10 देखि 15% मा पुगेको अवस्था छ भने सेप्टेम्बर, अक्टोबर, नोभेम्बर, डिसेम्बरमा चाहिँ करिब 40% देखि 50% पर्यटकहरू बढ्नेवाला छन्। त्यो बेलाका बुकिङहरू पनि रद्द भएका छैनन्। त्यो बेलामा चाहिँ आउने पर्यटकहरूले आफ्नो बुकिङ कायमै गरेका छन् भने 2016 मा चाहिँ करिब पुरानै स्थितिमा चाहिँ पर्यटनको उद्योग फर्किने चाहिँ पोखराको पर्यटन उद्योग फर्किने हामीले चाहिँ आशा एवं विश्वास लिएका छौं।
Tourism businesses under the committee have also met with diplomats of various countries like USA, UK and New Zealand and requested them to amend their travel advisory to Nepal. They also plan to carry out various marketing campaigns in China and India in the near future and declare that Nepal is safe and open to visitors.
The Silk Road, which is to traverse 3 continents, has gained much limelight in the past 3 years. The road project was pitched by China. It has potential to bring economic development in Asia, including in Nepal. The project would join Asia with the Middle East and Europe via roads and underwater tunnels. It would link 65% of the world's population and is expected to provide a boost to the Asian economy. China's trade links have extended across South Asia, India, the Arabian and Mediterranean seas since the 5th century. The route was named the Silk Road as China mostly traded in silk goods. The road's map has not yet been set in stone, but China is to establish it as a maritime route. The Silk Road used by China in ancient times did not include Nepal. However, China appears positive about incorporating Nepal in the network. China has already agreed to establish links across Nepal, Tibet and India's Patna as part of the Silk Road. It now appears important for Nepal to put forth a proposal to China on building a north-south road connection. Trade and tourism are likely to flourish with the revival of the Silk Road. It would also enable transcontinental gas pipelines to be established. The Asian Infrastructure Development Bank was recently formed to facilitate development in Asia. The Silk Road's construction appears to be one of its major objectives at the outset. As a member nation, Nepal would qualify for subsidized loans if it takes the initiative to build the required infrastructure to participate in the Silk Road project. Time now for our segment, Public Pulse, where you SMS us your opinion.
Janamat, brought to
For
you.
you today is, what's your take on the guidelines for filmmakers? Options are A, clamping on creativity, B, way to improve standards, and C, syndicate system. Voting for that question is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 8080 to share your opinion with us. Now, an international story. A summit of all European Union members planned for today has been cancelled as very difficult talks over a third bailout deal for Greece continue. Eurozone finance minister adjourned the talks last night as they're now resuming. European Council President Donald Tusk said a meeting of Eurozone leaders would go ahead. Without a deal, it is feared that Greece could crash out of the euro. The BBC says that rarely have EU meetings been cancelled at such short notice and with such a terse announcement. Marathon talks yesterday had ended without agreement, and Eurogroup leader Jeroen Dijsselbloem described negotiations as very difficult. Reports on Saturday suggested that German ministers were drawing up a plan that would allow Greece to exit the Eurozone temporarily if this weekend's talks fail, something Athens says it's unaware of. The Greek government this week set out a new list of austerity measures to try to secure the bailout, many of which had been rejected by the Greek people in a referendum last Sunday. The funeral of former Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Saud Al Faisal, who died on Thursday, was held yesterday. He died just 2 months after he was replaced, following 4 decades in the job. Prince Saud, who was 75, was the world's longest serving foreign minister, when replaced on April 29th by Adel Al-Zubair, the then ambassador to Washington. Prince Saud retained an influential position in Saudi foreign policy circles even after his replacement, serving as an official advisor to King Salman, who took power in January and was sometimes present when foreign leaders met the monarch. Hafiz Saeed, the leader of the Islamic State group in Afghanistan and Pakistan region, has been killed in a drone strike, according to the Afghan intelligence agency. Saeed was killed in a strike in Achin in Afghanistan's northern Nangarhar province on Friday night. Some 30 other IS militants were killed, the agency has said. There's been no independent verification. A drone strike on Tuesday reportedly killed another top IS figure. The Afghan intelligence agency, the NDS, said Friday's strike was carried out by US-led coalition forces in coordination with intelligence provided by the spy agency. NATO forces have had a new mandate since the start of the year, but can still carry out drone strikes. There's been no response from the Islamic State on the reports, and the Afghan government has given no official confirmation. There had been reports in April that Saeed, also referred to as Hafiz Saeed Khan, was killed while planting a bomb. Nangarhar's Achin district is close to the border with Pakistan. The Islamic State group refers to the Afghanistan-Pakistan region as Khorasan State. IS first made its presence felt in Pakistan in April when its regional spokesman claimed its fighters had shot dead 3 Pakistani soldiers. Now, China's state television CCTV aired video of 109 people being deported from Thailand. CCTV said they were mostly from the country's western Xinjiang region and were attempting to go to Turkey and then to join the jihad in Syria and Iraq, and 13 of them were terror suspects. They are seen seated on the plane with black hoods over their heads, flanked by police who wore face masks. Hundreds, possibly thousands of Uyghurs keen to escape unrest in China's western Xinjiang region have traveled clandestinely via Southeast Asia to Turkey. China is home to about 20 million Muslims spread across its vast territory, only a portion of whom are Uyghurs who speak a Turkic language. The incident sparked anger in Turkey, home to a large Uyghur diaspora, and deep concern among rights groups and the United States due to fears they could be mistreated upon their return. China's foreign ministry, in a statement late on Saturday, said the U.S. statement distorted the facts and was prejudiced and would only encourage further illegal immigration. A senior Chinese police officer said that some of the Uyghurs who have ultimately ended up in Turkey are being sold to fight for groups like Islamic State as cannon fodder. Beijing denies accusations by human rights groups that it restricts the Uyghurs' religious freedoms. It blames Islamic militants for a rise in violent attacks in Xinjiang in the past 3 years, in which hundreds have died. China has also denied allegations of mistreatment and of torture. We have more coming up, but before that, we'll take a short break. Arch rivals Novak Djokovic is taking on Roger Federer in the year's third Grand Slam, Wimbledon, this evening. The match is to be played in London's Central Court, scheduled for a 6:45 p.m. kickoff Nepal time. 17-time Grand Slam winner Roger Federer is up against the world number 1 Novak Djokovic. The second seed Federer is looking ahead to win his 8th Wimbledon crown, while defeating champion Djokovic will be trying to emulate his feat last year. The two tennis giants have met each other 39 times on the tennis court. The equation is slightly in favor of Federer with a 2019 record. Djokovic leads the Grand Slam equation with a 6-5 record. They share the Wimbledon record with both the players winning a match each. Serena Williams has pocketed 4 consecutive Grand Slams following her Wimbledon triumph yesterday. Referring to her power-backed tennis, Serena is often described as the man when she made her maiden appearance at a professional championship. She won her first Grand Slam in 2002, winning the French Open title. She's won 6 titles each of the Australian Open, Wimbledon, the US Open, and 3 French Open titles. Plagued by injuries, she returned to the tennis circuit in 2010 after her knees were operated twice. Serena also happens to be the first player to win all Grand Slams after crossing the age of 30. She has now inched closer to Steffi Graf's all-time Grand Slam win record and said that the Wimbledon win this year has inspired her to achieve greater tennis heights. Nepal and Namibia shared a point each in the second ICC T20 qualifier match yesterday after the game was interrupted by continuous rainfall. In the match played at Belfast, Nepal won the toss and elected to field first, but the match got delayed due to rain. Once it resumed, Namibia posted 61 runs for the loss of a wicket in 7.4 overs, after which the rain again interrupted play and the match had to be called off. Meanwhile, Ireland defeated the US by 46 runs to climb to the top of Group A. In another match, Netherlands defeated United Arab Emirates by 7 wickets. Nepal will play its third match against hosts Ireland tomorrow at 7 p.m. Nepali time. And before we wrap up, here's a reminder of the top stories. Nepal's tourism stages a comeback. Tourist bookings increase. Number of domestic and foreign tourists visiting Pokhara on a high. Parliament's Social Justice and Human Rights Committee directs concerned authority to arrange for the education of 317 students stranded at Janaki Medical College. Summit of all European Union members slated for today cancelled amid conflicting talks over a third bailout deal for Greece. And world number 1 Novak Djokovic taking on Roger Federer in the Wimbledon final later this evening. That's all we have for you this hour. We'll be back with more news in English at 10:30 in the evening. Goodbye.